Good day everyone, this is me Jason Julamer and today we're going to travel around the world's roads and highways. So, what are you waiting for? Come on, join me and let's start the journey. And to begin with, let's start with the history of the roads and highways, how it was developed and how it was evolved. The oldest constructed road were discovered dated back around 4000 BC in the land of Mesopotamia, now known as Iraq, particularly in the cities of Ur and Babylon, where we can find mud bricks or identical mud bricks being formed or constructed as roads and set up in the surface of the earth. The Sumerians were meticulously skilled in bricks making, where they are thoroughly drying up the clay soils or the stones that they are going to pave into the surface of the earth. This makes sense and functional to the community and to the society, whereas it is for their armies in line with their defense against any form of invasion, and for transportation of goods and distribution of products. Another ancient constructed roads were discovered in the land of Glastonbury, England, where timber works are more phantom than of rammed earth surfaces. This in line with their transportation of goods and the distribution of products or goods in the community. However, Romans were the very first people to use cement and discovered cement in paving roads. However, early engineers has had roads built many miles of roads and bridges and highways that brings much need of which, while wheeled vehicle started to rose and begun to standardize human activities and lifestyles. These early engineers doesn't only build many miles of roads, bridges, and highways, but rather also contributes in the involvement and the development of the highways and roads paving. So let's start on 17th century with John Metcalfe on 1717 when he built many miles of roads and bridges and highways in Yorkshire, England. He proposed only three components of road materials. We have first, at the bottom layer is the large stones. On the middle layer, roads or mixture of road materials, and at the top layer of a gravel. Secondly is John Loudon McAdam on 1756, which he began his career on 1787 and built many miles of roads, highways, and bridges. A Scottish engineer that contributes the largest among of all the early engineers into the paradigm shift of the structural roads and highways. He firstly recommended the reliance on broken stones in paving roads as a structural basis and fundamentals. Roads with harder surface using broken stones placed in symmetrical, tight patterns and covered with smaller stones. He also proposed tar macadam, which is a bitumen-based binding road. While the very first recipient of modern road in Europe is in Paris at Champs-Élysées on 1824. Thomas Telford, also known as the godfather of civil engineering, emphasizes two features of roads. First is the maintaining a level roadway with a maximum gradient 1 in 30. Second is the building a stone surface capable of carrying the heaviest anticipated loads. He then proposed three compositions of roads during his time. First is the lower layer having a 7 inches thickness and is founded with large stones. In the middle layer having also a 7 inches of thickness with broken stone having a diameter of 2 inches. And lastly, at the top surface of it is a 1 inch thick of a gravel or broken stones. However, the Menai Suspension Bridge on 1826 was the greatest example of iron works ever built. Not just like the other mentioned early engineers a while back, Tresagut doesn't contribute much of dramatically development or evolvement of roads and highways. He first employed scientific method of paving and constructing roads and highways. He also proposed development of light surface systems, which a theoretical approach only. And in the late 1800s, America and other states or countries already begun their construction of roads. In America, the very first recipient of these modern roads was in Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C. That is the history of roads and highways. Now, let's move on the importance and significance of roads and highways in urban and rural areas. The importance as a medium or a channel is that which one can travel on ground or from one place to the other, which we can use roads and highways on that concept. Second is monetary and time costs reduction. As roads gives us access to many different villages and cities that connects, binds each other, we can now easily and reduce the monetary and time costs of traveling. We can now go from one place to the other. Highways and roads as linkages. So, in linkages, it links from villages to villages or cities to cities, cities to villages, or vice versa. It creates a bind relationship of how the cities and the villages related to. It also connects or is also a network. We can also say that roads are connecting networks of different cities. Transport arteries, on the other hand, plays a vital and critical role in the society, which performs various key tasks. Example of which is the transportation of goods or products of farmlands to the markets. Secondly, is the distribution of goods to and from the distribution centers. So let's now move on with the different types of roads and highways. Road types are classified based on its functions. First is based on materials used. We have earthen roads, gravel roads, concar roads, muram roads, water-bound macadam or the WBM roads, bituminous roads, and concrete roads. Let's now further discuss on what was the differences of these materials used in defining roads types. First is the earthen roads. From the word itself, earthen, we can now assume that earthen roads are rammed earth roads or the surface of the earth itself. Second, the gravel roads. Gravel roads are compacted mixtures of gravel. We can now also say that gravel roads are the main composite of gravel roads are gravels or broken stones. Thirdly is the Kankar road. Kankar from India, which means impure forms of limestones. This is good for an environment that is good quality of lime. Fourth, we have the Muram roads. Muram roads are more density or more dense than in gravel roads, which we can say that it is more good than in gravel roads. Fifth, water-bound macadam or the WBM roads, which is a fine aggregates or composite of fine aggregates road. Sixth is the bituminous roads. From the word itself, bituminous, it is a bitumen-based roads or tar-based roads. Lastly, 7, the concrete roads, which we are employing right this time or nowadays, which is the concrete roads. Here we go. Let's now move on to the types of roads based on its location and its functions. First, we have national highways. Second, we have state highways. Third, district roads. And lastly, rural roads or village roads. Let me further discuss with you about the national highways, the state highways, the district roads, and rural roads or village roads. First, we have the national highways. National highways, as it says national, it is only within the capital region of the country. In Metro Manila, here in the Philippines, in Metro Manila, we can say that the roads in Metro Manila are national roads because it is within the capital region of the country. Second, the state highways. State highways, as it says state, then all of the roads that is within the states are called the state highways, whether it is in national region or the capital region, or rather in the district regions or in other regions. We can say that it is state highways. Third, we have district roads. District roads connect cities to the markets and markets to the cities, or vice versa, or as well otherwise. Lastly, we have roads or rural roads or village roads. Village roads connects villages to villages or villages to cities and vice versa. Next types of roads based on traffic volume. We have low traffic roads, medium traffic roads, and high traffic roads. Next types of roads and highways is based on economy. We have low cost roads, medium cost roads, high cost roads. And this economy or this base is also upon and depend on location and its function of. Next is based on traffic types. We have pedestrian type ways, we have cycle tracks, and we have motorways. On pedestrian ways, as we call pedestrian, it's only comprised of pedestrian ways, which exclusively built for pedestrians. In cycle tracks, it is a road good for cyclists, and in motorways, it is the controlled and most accessible and quick for farthest travel. Next is based on rigidity. We have flexible roads and we have rigid roads. Flexible roads based on rigidity is not actually a flexible or let's say for instance a lumband road. Rather, it is also a pavement road, but of exemption, we can say that concrete road is not. And lastly, rigid roads. From the word itself, rigid, it is a pavement which rigid bodies are concerned or noticed. We can say that it is a concrete road. Next is based on topography. We have only two topographical approach of lands. We have the hilly area and we have the plain area. In hilly area, plain lang. In plain area, where surfaces are level. In hilly roads, 1, 2, 3, we can easily observe hilly roads on hill roads or gut roads. Based on speed and accessibility, we have freeways, expressways, highways, arterials, local streets, and collector roads. Let's now move on with the various factors considered. 1, 2, 3, go. Let's now move on with the various factors that an engineer considers in designing geometric roads. In actual designing of geometric roads, we only consider two of the factors, the topographical factor and the speed design factor. And considering other factors such as level of service, traffic volume, roadway context, sight distance, and safety.